Hi, I'm Gary White here for Channel 6 Television with
Yvonne McNary.
And February, in addition to being the anniversary for Channel 6 Television and the Month for Lovers, as we've been talking in our Valentine's Day specials that we've had, it's also Black History Month.
Yes, it is, Gary.
And this month, we are celebrating Black History Month all month long here on Channel 6 Television. In our first show of the series, Yvonne had the opportunity to speak to several different families throughout Marion and Washington counties, right?
Yes, I did.
And talk about some of the history that they've had to share with us. Now, who were the individuals you had on? You had the Bell family.
Had the Bell family and
the Burtons.
The Burtons
Were on there, right?
And then I had another lady,
Miss Spalding.
Miss Spalding, Julia Spalding from Washington County. So I've had quite a group.
Yes, and they were very interesting.
Yes, very much so. There's a lot of history in the central Kentucky area, and a lot of it goes down from generation to generation, of course, and some things have been lost if they haven't been written down. And as you'll see in one from the Bell family, they had theirs all written out on a family tree so that they wouldn't forget anything, and it's large enough so that they can continue to add people to it as as time goes on, as children are born. So very interesting.
Absolutely. Ancestry's fun to do too, and look back on that too as well. But today, for our second episode, we're going to go back, and I had the opportunity to talk to a very interesting man who passed away, unfortunately, just a couple years ago. But he has a really strong history here in Marion County. But actually, what he did here in Marion County affected lots and lots of people. I think if you go, I've gone to many different places throughout the state. At the state fair, I've been there for like Marion County's booth and stuff, and people from all over remember Club Cherry and Club 68, which were some of the dance halls. And Obie Slater, the man that we're going to get to hear from very shortly, he helped coordinate the entertainment for those clubs back in their heyday. So he has a lot of interesting stories.
He did, yes.
And as Club Cherry, well, Club 68 was on Highway 68, and then there was Club Cherry, which back in the days of segregation was the black club, and they had a lot of black performers go there because several of them couldn't go into Club 68 at that time. But some of the performers they had are people who even today people are paying high ticket prices for, such as Tina Turner.
Yes.
I think would be one of the really big names, And Great Balls of Fire was
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis. He has I recall him having an interesting story to share about him as well. But lots of different celebrities who would he would get them at Club Cherry, and then because they were so popular, they would go over to Club 68 as well. So they'd have people to be at both clubs for it.
Yes, indeed. What a lifestyle. And you have to think about some of these people. They were babies. They were teenagers when they started out.
Yeah.
Well,
Tina was still with Ike Turner at the time. Because they were here together.
Yeah.
At least once or twice. There were at least twice, I know, together. And I think she may have come by herself as well. But, I mean, that was early in her career, right?
Early in her career, yeah, when she came through here. It was called the Chitlin Circuit, where they're going through the South to a lot of little small clubs, which are clubs where they could actually perform, because there were so many other clubs where they could not perform because they were black during segregation. So they had a Chitlin Circuit was a number of different clubs on this tour where they could stop and entertain and have a good time, and sometimes they stayed for a while. If it was a good crowd there that came every weekend or every night, whatever, they just stayed there for a while and made it home, and then when things cooled down a bit, they move on to someplace else. So a lot of good people came through here. Otis Redding came through here, sitting on the dock of the bay. A lot of different entertainers came through. So the people in Central Kentucky were very, very
lucky.
Very lucky to get all these people through here. And today you hear people like Bruno Mars, who refer to those old singers as the ones that they looked up to when trying to get their career started and going. The different types of music that they liked. So
I could see an influence there from, like Redding that you're talking about. I could see some of that influence in the Bruno Mars type of music. Now that you mention it.
Yeah. So it sort of evolves, and one entertainer passes it on to another and another and another, and sometimes they say, well, he stole my song. Well, no, he just sort of borrowed some of the lyrics from it. That's all.
Exactly.
But it keeps going forward. You're playing it forward all the time with entertainers. and really do appreciate all the ones that came through Central Kentucky.
Absolutely. And we appreciate individuals like Obie, who helped us recount and remember that. I'm very glad that they had the opportunity to speak to Obie to get this history before he did pass away and kind of share it with us. We went to his house and just sat and kind of, he reminisced and just kind of told us the story. So here, enjoy that. That's our episode on Black History Month celebration here on Channel 6 Television for this week. And be sure to tune in next week. We'll have some more stories to share. Hi, I'm Gary White for Channel 6 Television. I'm here with Obie Slater. We are in Lebanon, and Obie was the manager of Club Cherry here in Lebanon for quite a while and brought lots of famous bands to the area and is still promoting and bringing bands to Marion County here. Just recently this weekend, you brought a group to one of the clubs here in Marion County. And you are also have been nominated to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, potentially, to be on the roster there, correct?
Yep.
Well, congratulations. That's pretty exciting.
Thank you.
Now, let's start off. You are originally from Mississippi, correct?
I was born in Mississippi.
Okay, and then you came to Lebanon via Danville.
No, I left Mississippi and came to Tennessee. And I left Tennessee and came to Danville.
Okay.
Then left Danville and came here.
Okay. Now, can you tell us what brought you to Lebanon?
Well, I had met Mr. George, and he heard that the hotel was going out of business.
The hotel where you worked in Danville?
He called me one Sunday afternoon and asked me that I want to come down and run his nightclub. I told him, I said, man, I ain't never ran no kind of business. I said, plus, I don't have a lot of education. And he told me a little story. He said, there was this man who worked at a college 20 years. And said one day they came around and told him, says, Unc, you got to fill out an application if you want to keep your job. So he couldn't fill out no application. For that reason, he lost his job. So he bought a little truck and started hauling garbage. And then, next thing you know, he bought another truck. Made him haul a little more garbage because they bought a bigger truck. And so one day he decided he wanted a great big truck. And they walked in the bank, told the bank he wanted a big sum amount of money to buy this particular truck with. The bank says, all right. He made an X and got his money, which was his money, in the bank. So banker looked at him and says, Uncle, says, suppose you had stayed under the college. No, suppose you could read and write. He said, if I could read and write, I'd still buy that damn college. Broke.
Yeah. Huh. So he knew that you were a good investment.
Yep. He had faith in me. And from then on, we've been buddies. He was one of the best friends I had. I thought a whole lot of him, and I still do.
We're talking about Halim George. And he was the owner of Club 68 and Club Cherry.
Club Cherry. And I miss him. And since I've been nominated to the Hall of Fame, I'm trying to let him be a part of it. And I hope, like we do get to go. And if he was around, I'd like to see him shoot on a cigar and tell him the story.
So we're kind of going to give him a little tribute as well with these stories that you're telling, because we'll kind of give him a little tribute today too with these stories.
Yes, he was my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a businessman. He had an eye for business. Plus, he was a people man.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really into music, but he's into the stuff that music should do for him. You know, music will make him money.
Mm-hmm.
But come tell him what kind of music and who does what kind of music, he didn't know.
Mm-hmm. That's why I needed you.
And I didn't know until he pulled me in. I always have, all my life, I love music.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a kid coming up and down the Mississippi, most of all the kind of music they had on the radio was country. And I fell in love with country.
Okay.
I used to love to watch Grandpa Jones and Minnie Pearl.
Uh-huh.
Minnie Pearl had that thing going saying, "Well, sir, folks, I'm glad to be here. I'm so glad I could come." And they made her quit saying it. Till, like I say, the first big show I had was Bobby Bland and Little Junior Parker. And the man that ran the club before I did, he didn't pay him when they played for him. He took the money and ran.
Mm-hmm.
So Bobby sent Junior ahead to see was the same man still running the club. So Junior calls back and tells him, no, it's not the same man. Then Bobby came on. And that was a beautiful night.
So after you left the hotel in Danville, because that closed down, you came to run Club Cherry. And what year was that? Were you saying
61.
1961. Okay.
Yeah, 1961. I'll never forget, I see them little kids now popping and shaking their fingers. And a lot of the people got mad with them because they put them out, but they got over it. And I had a little band out of Danville. And I made them be my band.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent them a whole lot of different places. To people I had met and talked to on telephone and stuff. So after Bobby Bland, I booked Joe Tex. Joe Tex was almost a preacher, really.
Huh.
For a while, he lived at Club Cherry. He and Little Richard both.
Mm-hmm.
That was before I came.
Okay. So probably in the late 50s, maybe? Early 60s?
They were here in the 60s.
Uh-huh.
No, in the late 50s.
Late 50s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they played for a fellow called Junior Lecture.
So Little Richard was backup to somebody then? But Little Richard was the backup to somebody else performing, is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
No. Little Richard made a tape and sent to California, and they sent him a plane ticket. And he ain't looked back since.
Yeah. But he was here for quite a while, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he played here at Bardstown and little places around.
Mm-hmm.
But I had Joe Tex on a Monday night. And I look back on the bandstand. He had one more good show. I look back on the bandstand and everything was moving but the drummer. The other night everything was moving all around. I stood there and looked for a minute. I said, what a show. He put on one more hell of a show. And he could do things with a microphone I don't think nobody in the world could do without tearing it up. Then they had the big stand-up microphones in with the big head.
Huh.
He had did the thing called, want somebody to please take the woman with the skinny legs. And that was the big thing for him.
Uh-huh.
And the next big show I had after that was Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. The band showed up. Now they showed up when I was closing up.
Uh-huh.
The Midnighters did. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters showed up.
That's where they got their name from. Maybe that's where they got their name from, the Midnighters.
Yeah. They got lost.
Yeah.
So I took that as a loss, and then I booked B.B. King.
Wow.
And I had listed B.B. King when I was a kid. Matter of fact, I went to see B.B. King when I was a kid at Yazoo, Mississippi.
Huh.
He played in Yazoo.
Uh-huh.
His home was in Inola, which is about 75 miles from Yazoo.
Okay.